Welcome to the Recycle Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts,
Dr. LaFonya Jones,
Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is down to earth, informative, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up the volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to Session 9, Movie Mental Breakdown, Boomerang.
So this movie is starring, it had an all-star cast actually. Eddie Murphy, who plays Marcus.
Marcus.
That is hilarious.
Martin Lawrence plays one of his friends, Tyler. David Allen Greer plays another one of his friends, Gerard. It also stars Robin Givens as Jacqueline, Halle Berry as Angela. John Witherspoon plays Gerard's father.
Drake.
Thank you. Plays Gerard's mother. Tisha Campbell plays Yvonne, who is Marcus's next door neighbor, it seems like, and also a previous
Fling
of some sort. You have Grace Jones, who plays Strange, and you have Eartha Kitt, who plays Lady Eloise. And I think those are all of the main speaking.
I think the only other kind of major person that someone would know if they follow Black cinema, it would be Layla Rashawn.
Oh yeah, Layla Rashawn
And Chris Rock.
who played Christy.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Rock played
Boney T.
Yeah.
And for all my people who love the 5 Heartbeats, Flash is in this movie. His real name is John Canada Terrell. So everybody that love that movie, I just had to shout him out.
I love the 5 Heartbeats.
I know.
Okay, let me come back.
It's like,
Ain't nobody sang like Eddie Kane.
girl, that is probably my favorite part of that whole movie. Side note, we should probably do that one too.
Yes.
That would be a good one.
Oh,
Y'all let us know in the comments
That'd be a
if
good one.
you want us to do the 5 Heartbeats.
I'm here for that one.
Me too.
We forgot somebody who is like one of the grandfathers of Black cinema, y'all.
Ooh.
Y'all gonna shoot yourself in the foot. Melvin Van Peebles.
He was in there?
He's the editor.
Oh.
When they're talking about
Oh.
Strange, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
We're gonna get it together, y'all. We
That
had a
went
moment.
right over my head.
Because I was like, where?
Uh-huh.
But I was so focused on make sure the all-star people was gotten. See, look, top billing.
Mm-hmm.
It worked.
And he probably wrote something on it. I wouldn't be surprised knowing him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Him and his son Mario be writing up everything and directing stuff.
true. Okay. To start off, so one of the initial scenes in this film starts off with the Martin Lawrence. Actually, let me just use their character names. Sorry, guys. Tyler, Marcus, and Gerard having dinner, lunch.
Was it?
Seemed like lunch.
No.
I feel like it's a scene right before that though.
Yeah, but he's mostly just walking through.
But I
Flirting
think
with
but I think
everybody.
that's important.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start from the beginning. In the beginning.
So the opening scene, y'all, if y'all can imagine this Black man walking through this huge building. You can tell that he is like reached his stride. He's successful. He's admired by everybody. That means the women that are in his office. That also means like the Black men that are underneath him. Chris Rock's character, Boney T, is a male guy, and he always comes and talks to him every time he comes in the door. And so
when we gonna hang out?
Exactly. And so that's going to be super important because it shows how he transitions throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like throwback to our session about black male tropes. He was kind of like the
Yes.
magical Negro a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, he was that voice that just kind of had all of this extra info for some reason.
He was in the know of everything.
Yeah, like how you know what
He
y'all
knew
talking about in the
everything.
mailroom?
Right.
Yeah, he knew that. It's a lot going on in the movie. But also after that you get to see his character. Right before the lunch scene, you see the character, and because he goes and talks to his receptionist, and his receptionist lists off like 5, 6, 7 women.
It was Brenda, Letitia.
LaShawn. Lists all of them off, and then he says, okay, send, the flower arrangement that I want you to send, and make sure you tell them thinking only of you. All the same flowers, all the same message. So
And this was a repetitive routine because
she knew.
She already knew.
Yep.
And then I think the only other thing right before the lunch scene was we got to meet Nelson. Which I think his real name is Jeffrey something. I can't remember, but he's very flamboyant. He's super nasty, which we can appreciate in small doses, but he was also over the ads. And so he always took the ads too far because Marcus is a marketer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right before he goes, so I'm assuming then it was lunch because he was at work.
Yeah.
So then right before he
Yeah,
goes to
because he
have,
said, tell the guys I'm going to be late.
yeah. And he tells them that he's going to be late because it's audition time for one of the ads. And there's a line of beautiful women that he has to critique in some sort of way. So this is intro to, his potential for
Objectifying women.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, or womanizing,
Yeah. So if y'all haven't seen this movie and y'all have seen How to Be a Player, this is How to Be a Player, the first round before that came out. That's really what it is.
I can agree with that.
full wholeheartedly. So then when he gets to the restaurant with his friends, they start talking about how Marcus he always gets the women and women just fall all over him. And, how come we don't ever get women? And David Allen Greer is trying to hold Tyler accountable for how he's describing women and some of the reason why he has trouble relating to women in the way that he does.
And that's the first, obviously it's the beginning of the movie, but it's the first scene where we see a man with emotional intelligence.
Yes. Because Gerard, aka Dag, aka David Allen Greer, he is the sensitive one of the group, and he's very in tune with his emotions, but it also kind of plays into most people don't choose the nice guy.
We were talking about that this morning.
And we were talking also about how how we talk about men and not being in tune with their emotions, and that was very apparent in their dynamic as friends.
Yes.
So for our sensitive ears, but they were calling him a female dog, for him being much more, and like you said,
aware.
in tune and aware of how women may think differently than men and how to be receptive to that.
Yeah, and he always wanted to be respectful of women. Even later, we'll talk about his ex. But he just always wanted to be respectful and uplift them, and that's not really what the other two gentlemen, I'm using that word loosely, did, even though both of them are still two totally different characters, Tyler and Marcus.
Yeah. I think Marcus would assume that he was not emotionally attached, but in tune to women because of his demeanor and his charisma.
And he said it.
Yeah. I was just getting ready to comment on that, and the fact that I'm glad that was a good segue, because one of the things that he talked about, I know how to romance women, and everything that he listed out was like Hallmark card level of romance. I bring them flowers, I give them candy, I buy them things, and it was like,
It's all superficial.
That's external things.
yeah.
And that's the thing, when you can have those external things, those are a bonus, but it's the internal things that matter. It's the substance of a relationship that makes a relationship a successful relationship.
And y'all don't even get me started on Tyler.
Oh my God.
Get into it, sis.
Yes.
So Tyler is played by Martin Lawrence. So you already know it's hilarious. However, there is no filter on this dude whatsoever. He's like the stereotypical like hood dude that has made it but has not learned how he needs to show up in the workplace at all. He's still
uncouth.
a little uncouth.
Yeah.
He don't know how to code switch like we've talked about in past sessions, but he also has this very militant, you might even say on the end of Hotep mentality. And so he's always talking about how the black man this and then the white man did this to us and then how we show up in society. So he has all these tangential theories that go on, and then he's trying to convince his two homeboys to believe him too, but they just be looking at him and shaking his head.
I know. I was thinking he was talking about asparagus spears versus asparagus
tips.
Like, wait, what? What are you saying, Martin?
You see what she did? You see what she did? No, we don't.
Right.
We don't see what she did at all.
At all.
She talked about asparagus.
Yes.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
You literally asked her what was there to eat, and she told you.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah. I do appreciate the comic relief throughout the film, but yeah, he definitely is erring on the side of extra.
Yeah, this movie was very cringy and misogynistic. You don't realize that until you kind of go back and watch it again, because obviously this movie came out in 92. It's almost 30 years later, so norms and what's acceptable to say and how we describe things has completely changed since then. And so it's like, ooh. It was a lot. It was a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to Dr. Jones about that this morning, but I think in some ways when you pull back and look at it as a whole versus looking at it scene for scene, you can still appreciate the comedy in it. Even though
it's still hilarious.
Some of the moments were still cringy.
Yeah.
Yes. So then at the table, and I love how they play like the dog music, you know?
Bow wow wow.
So Marcus sees Leela Rashawn's character walking by as they are in the restaurant. And this is where you start to see his Marcus's manipulation in like the initial stages of it in full effect. So he jumps out and goes outside to chase her, and he stops this couple and pays them $20 for a dog leash. And then he's out here screaming for a dog that he does not have as a way to garner sympathy from a woman he believes is a dog lover. And of course, plot, assistance, she is. And
has a beautiful dog. She's very prim and proper. She just looks like a straight up beautiful businesswoman, and she's just walking her dog in the park.
And she falls for it, of course.
Hook, line,
because I was
sinker.
like, who is falling for this game? I mean, now granted it's 92, but who is falling for this game that he got with this leash?
Christy.
I know. I was like, oh, Christy girl.
Because it was so fake. Because I think what happened first was he made the scene with the dog and was yelling his dog's name, and she stopped and came back and was like, oh, did you lose your dog? And then he's like, yes. And he put on his little sad face and was like, hey, since you walk your dog here every day, can you call me? And then because she was such an avid lover of animals, obviously, she walks off and then comes right back and like, well, I just wouldn't feel comfortable if I didn't know that you found him. So she gave him her number on the card that he gave her and then gave it back. And he was
I
like,
was thinking about that too. I was like,
yeah.
wait, she just wrote her number on the card he gave
so,
her.
And
So
the
I
pin
was
scene.
wondering in hindsight 2020, because I remember when I was younger and men would ask me to call them. I was like, no, I'll give you my number. You can call me if you're interested. So I wonder if that was her slide way of like doing that. No, you can call me if you're interested.
I hadn't thought about that.
it could.
But
It didn't.
it could have been.
It could. I was opposite of you because I was like, nah, you can give me your number.
That's how I was.
Because I was like, nah, I don't need you having no access to me. That's why I still got the same number from 6th grade.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm like, you want me, you gonna have to chase me. I'm not calling nobody.
See, look at that ends of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. See, we not all the same, guys.
Yeah, but you could also see him, the player, come out of him when she said, "Well, do you have a pen?" He's like,
Do I?
Yeah, like, of course I do. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you even ask me? Yeah. So then cut to she comes to his place for a dinner date of some sort, and she is dressed to the nines.
Looks beautiful. Got a little French roll.
Girl, there was so many French rolls in this
like,
movie.
Don't you make me go get a French roll.
So many French rolls.
Oh, I remember those.
Oh, I used to love it, especially the one with the little the bump at the top.
Oh,
Girl,
yeah,
don't
those
tell
were so
me
cute.
nothing. But we digress. So they're having their little dinner date, and of course, the dog is not there when she asks.
He had to go get groomed because he got a little grease on his coat.
But why your dog still at the vet though?
At 9,
night. Right,
at
at
9
night.
at night. And I can't remember. Can you hear Tisha Campbell's character in the background?
Yes, because she's saying, don't fall for it, girl. Don't fall for it. Like, she is just going off. And I think before Christy came, they were having a little
back and
forth. And
that's when he was like, I got a restraining order. You stay on that side of the fence.
restraining order.
I don't care. No, I can't say it.
So again, he has a history of leaving damage in his wake. So then, okay, of course, him and Christy have their dinner, and he's getting ready to. Here comes the I'm getting ready to get her. So he's like, okay, well, he drove. No, they rode a taxi because it's New York. So they had rode a taxi back to her place. And he's doing this whole 9.
Hard to get. Pretending to be hard to get.
That I've been hurt in the past, and I just can't. I'm not ready for this. I mean, putting on the little boy face and the teary oh.
Y'all, and Christy falls for it. She falls so hard for it. You're just a scared little boy. It was so everything that I don't ever want to be as a woman.
Right. It disgusted me when I heard her say that. You're just a little boy that's trying to come out. Come on out. What?
Come on out, Marcus. You can do it.
I was like, really? Oh my God, this is working.
Yes.
And then it makes me think back, did this kind of stuff ever work on me when I was young? I surely hope not.
Maybe not. So. Maybe not things like this, but something probably similar. Because I think we all go through that gullible stage.
My God. So then here he comes with the Boy Scout face, and he's all vulnerable and everything, and then she falls for it. So
they go to her apartment.
They go to her apartment, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go."
No, I can't come in. No, I shouldn't be in here.
But
y'all should see how I'm looking at this mic. Like it's him.
Then it's well.
But rewind.
Oh, more?
Rewind. Y'all, when you go into this girl's bedroom.
Did you see the dolls and the stuffed animals everywhere?
Yes.
Now, I have stuffed animals because I collect them, but they're not on my bed.
I have a huge Mickey Mouse and a smaller one in the corner, but they're not on my bed.
They were everywhere.
Like, she had them on the wall. She had a very childlike bedroom, and it was kind of, I didn't know if she was into that type of power play with her lover, or if that's who she was, or if she got daddy issues, or what it was. But I was like, oh, this ain't good, because she kept telling him, you get a gold star, Marcus. Like, she was very childlike.
It was almost like she was talking to him like she would talk to her dog.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
If you have an animal, you tend to talk to them in that kind of motherese kind of way.
And
especially
you
if
get a treat for being good.
Especially if you have like a prim kind of dog, something like a Bichon, or you're probably not talking to a Rottweiler that way.
I mean, you can if you want to.
But you know what? Where was her dog? They didn't put that in.
They didn't put it in there like they were supposed to. But it's okay.
Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting though.
Deleted scenes. So, but I did recognize that because I was like, oh, that's a little weird when I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh, that would have turned me all the way off. But anyway,
he didn't care. He was like, be gentle.
he sure did.
I was like, that's not weird.
It was.
And then
So
she
many
aggressively
cringe
grabs
moments
him.
again.
Yes, yanks him. That's why I said I
Yeah.
don't know if I feel like she was like a naive person. I feel like she knew what she was doing. This is just who she is. This is her role that she plays.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So then after they, do their thing, he is laying in the bed with her and pulls the cover up off to see what her feet look like.
Because obviously he has a foot fetish.
And she has, if these, I feel bad if these are actually Lela Rashawn's actual feet, but she has some hammer toes.
And that
Yes.
polish was chipped.
Her polish was chipped.
No, she had rubbed it off. That's why you know her shoes was too small.
And, a bunion or so.
Yeah.
They looked bad, y'all.
Yeah, they almost look like dancer feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see that.
like ballerina, their feet tend to be pretty gnarly sometimes. So then he is immediately turned off.
Because she's not perfect.
He tries to escape y'all out of the bed.
Yeah, y'all see
Like
that
he-
neck?
You know how when you lay in the bed and maybe y'all cuddling or whatever and
They laying on
lay
your
it
arm.
on your arm. So he trying to get his arm out from under her neck and he just falls all out on the floor.
Knocking
makes
stuff
all-
over.
It was, y'all, it was hilarious.
Yeah. And that was hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now he's got to get away from her. So now he's not interested anymore. So like Dr. Jones said, she's not perfect, so I don't want nothing to do with her no more. She don't have pretty feet. Insert emotionally intelligent friend who's like, are you serious? That's why you gonna stop talking to her? You got to stop having all of these
Shallow.
picky. He called him picky. That's what he called him. This very limited criteria on what's acceptable to a woman.
And then insert emotionally unintelligent friend Tyler. You not having sex with her feet, man.
Yeah.
He did say that.
It was a little explicit because there's
Yeah.
a famous line in there that we're not gonna say because we don't want to get demonetized or anything. And he's like, "Da-da," and it's like, oh, okay, that's what we doing. You just spelling out names of women's genitalia. That's what we doing now.
Yes.
I was like, okay, that's how y'all do men. Okay, okay.
Yeah. There's so much going on in this movie. It's so hilarious when you go back and look at it. So I think after that, were they in the gym at that time?
That was breakfast.
That was breakfast. Okay.
And then I think
the next scene is Robin when he sees
It's Lady Eloise and all of that.
Oh yeah. I forgot Lady Eloise.
Oh yes. Insert Lady Eloise. But one thing that I wanted to kind of key in on as far as Lela Rashawn's character, as far as women overall, about us having like discernment, and being much more in tune with looking at men's behavior and how is that fitting with what I want? Am I compromising myself, my wants and desires in some sort of way, in order to feel connected?
Yeah.
I think that goes along with people don't know how to date. When we date people, we tend to just date one person. Dating is you dating people to figure out what it is that you like, want, and see if whatever they bring to the table and what you bring to the table will match, so that there's no compromising on each side. I mean, well, yeah, I'll say compromising because you don't know each other. You don't have to compromise at that point. So you need to see that if this person likes baseball and you don't like baseball, are you going to be okay with them going to baseball games without you? And or is he going to be okay with you not going to baseball and not liking baseball? And are y'all going to be able to deal with that? And will that match at some point?
Yeah.
Something else that I was thinking was in the dating field, arena, whatever you want to call it, all the focus is on the woman. Her focus is on how she has to show up. His focus is on how she has to show up. And there's not a lot of accountability for the man. Unless
That's a
you
good
got some
point.
bomb dudes, your homeboys that's checking you, like maybe Gerard's character, then you really don't, you just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And then I also think it's a lot of focus on, well, what if he don't like me?
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, I do think there is a lot of focus on that. But one thing that I did appreciate kind of in Gerard's character was that he was always holding Marcus accountable about, you know, first of all, you're looking for perfection, and that is non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no person on the planet that's going to fit, you know, 100% of the check boxes that you've created. And then on top of that, the check boxes that you have, what value do they really bring to a relationship?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you're gonna get old, and that's, you know, that tight skin is going to become wrinkly at some point.
People are going to gain weight. Hair
Right.
color is going to change.
Yeah, so all you're seeking perfection for something that is going to evolve into something completely different, and then where are you going to be? Because you didn't build your foundation on something other than what your idea of a perfect mate was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So then goes on to Lady Eloise.
Love it.
Eartha Kitt.
Yes.
Catwoman.
Marcus. So she is we later learn that she is merely just a face for a, I guess, beauty brand of some sort.
Kind of
like
older now.
Mm-hmm.
the equivalent would be like Elizabeth Taylor and White Diamonds.
Yeah. Don't run the company anymore at all. Yeah.
Just a face. And she she is a cougar if there ever was a description for one. She was after him from the second she saw him.
Yes. And you talking about sexual harassment.
Girl, that's what I said. I said, ooh, the lawsuit that would have been
Yes.
up on her.
Had this been opposite genders,
It'd have been something else happening.
oh my goodness.
I mean, he went with it because he was trying to become, I think, was a director over marketing or something like that, VP
Yeah,
or something.
Like, yeah.
And if anybody knows anything about Eartha Kitt, you know that she exudes sensuality and sexuality. And so that is exactly who she showed up. She was a little cuckoo, but that's who she was. Everything. She was like, make sure he knows how to get to the lavender home. Like, she's like very like, okay, I got this set up. I'm gonna say servants, because that's really what they was to her. They was even laughing like, she about to get you, dude.
Another one bites the dust.
Exactly. But there's a scene where they have eaten dinner at her lavender home, and it's time for the show to start. They about to, you know, be intimate with one another. And the dancer in me was like, yes, Eartha Kitt, you better point your toes and extend those.
Yes.
I told the lady earlier, I was like, you better develop pay. You better come on now and point them toes. Turnout was sick, y'all.
I know, I was impressed.
Yeah. Her legs are, yeah. They was what they was.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So then, of course, Marcus, because, and I was talking with earlier this morning with Dr. Jones about this. So Marcus was willing to sleep his way to the top.
Yep.
Which is something that is usually frowned upon when women do it. But he was very much so like, look, I want marketing director. She want to get a little, you know, a piece of this Kit Kat bar. And so let's do it.
But he denied it all the time.
Oh, of course.
He did not. He's like, we don't know if that's what really happened.
But see, but you know what? That's, again, so different, because people were laughing and joking at him about it. But had it been a woman, she would have been scrutinized.
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier in this session, right after the scene with Lady Eloise and them sleeping together, he walks back through the building. And you can see that he's a different man than he was at the beginning. So he's not as chipper. His step isn't as happy as it was in the first scene. Now it's a little bit lower, and he's like, man, he's looking like kind of down, like, man, I had to do that for this position I want. And all of a sudden he pans to the right by the newsstand, and in walks Jacqueline, aka Robin Givens.
Yeah. And they did like the multi-camera pan on her.
Hair flip.
I know. I was like,
Calgon,
so y'all just had
take
to make
me
this
away.
real
The whole
sexy,
thing. Yes.
I mean, she cold,
Yeah,
She is.
yeah,
and she still look like that.
yeah. She's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of these actors, I'm like, what are you doing?
They
Like,
drinking ambrosia. The nectar of the gods. Y'all excuse me, the nerd just came out.
but yeah, enter Robin Gibbons' character Jacqueline, and I have to low key say that I loved her character because she was everything that he was and more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was,
Powerful.
she invented it. Like, it still was dysfunctional, but she invented it. Like, she was cold-blooded with it. She was very upfront about certain things, but she did, towards the end of the movie, have some manipulation that she was doing in there. In the beginning, I feel like she just laid everything on the table.
Yes.
I feel like she gave him a piece of his own medicine.
Yeah.
For sure. From the start, you know, just in their interaction, like you could see his confidence level dropping as she kind of retorted back to him the same kind of pickup line that he was giving her, and the way she was walking around him and kind of, you know, giving him the up down. So you could see he was like, hold on, wait.
His game
Roles.
wasn't working.
It flipped, the roles flipped. And I think even in that first scene with them, she was like, nah, does that work? Do you think that's going to work on me? And it was always this sparring between them. And I think he enjoyed that, but he didn't realize how toxic it was. Even when they got into the elevator and they were talking and he was like, yeah, I'm going to this floor too. I'm going to this too. And he was like, well, I can get you a job in this area once I make VP or director or whatever it was. And she was like, oh, Lady Eloise already gave that to me because I'm already the
In
VP.
the position.
Yeah. So his whole little spirit started going downhill from there. He didn't realize it though.
Well, the thing is, I think he realized at that point, like, he just got played by Lady Eloise and you about to get played by Robin Gibbons, sir.
That is true. The other thing I was thinking in that scene was about assumptions. Like, and lack of communication. So so we've talked before about, you know, you get bite-sized pieces of information and then you fill in a storyline for, you know, yourself. He filled in a storyline. Who told you, where did you hear that you had secured the VP position or whatever the position name actually is? But where did you hear that from other than, I've been working at this company and I've been doing well and you've been giving me praise, but how did that equate to you had secured that position for the merger?
Yeah.
And that also goes to, he didn't research the company
No.
because he didn't even know that Lady Eloise didn't have any power anymore.
True.
And if you know anything about business, this is, you know, business 101. The people who are acquiring the other business, the one that got bought out, they have no say so in the structure unless they specifically write it out and the lawyers sign on it. You have no say so in how the structure or the restructuring is going to look. And typically they always bring their people over at least for the first year so that the company is set up the way that they want it to be set up.
So again, like Dr. Jones said, you didn't do your research. So congratulations.
Yeah.
You played yourself.
And this is when this is probably the second time in that same scene that Jacqueline is schooling him about what the structure of Lady Eloise Cosmetics or whatever it is, how it's set up, what her role is. She's just a face. She's special. The board of directors runs it. And right when she's saying all of this, Lady Eloise walks out and is like, Marcus. And then she's like, I don't have any panties on. And I was like, okay. Commando, I see you. I see you.
He talking about some what? It's hot in here. Some people like to wear no drawers.
Classic.
That is hilarious.
Such a classic line right there. Oh my goodness.
Lord help.
But
again, that was comical because he was a man.
yes.
Yeah.
That would have been different. That would have looked totally different if it was opposite genders.
True. And I think it was comical because he's a man. And I also think it speaks to our lack of concern for how men feel.
Oh man, that's really good.
You know, because they laughed at his, I'm not going to necessarily say pain, because I don't know if it was pain in that sense.
Maybe
but they
shame.
laughed misfortune, shame. You know, that we tend to downplay men's feelings, which continues to kind of like exacerbate and, you know, fuel that that I just can't trust the world and I'm just not going to show anything. So then I'm just going to go out here and get mine and, you know, forget everybody else.
You know, another part of that is, because I don't think we even thought about this when we were talking about it, is the age difference. And how in the Black community you are taught you respect your elders.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that.
Because he never ratted her out. Not
Nope.
through the entire movie.
He didn't.
Not one time.
You
That's
make a good
interesting.
point.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
He's like,
feel like I
I'm
just
I'm
learned
to
something.
tell on my granny.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's so like cover my eyes.
I had my eyes open. I was like, okay.
I know. I was just laughing the whole time. So then after this is the dinner party, the large,
The ball,
the ball
ball thing.
To bring
Gala.
Sean J out.
yes,
Yeah.
to introduce Strong J.
Yeah.
So this is enter Halle Berry's character,
Angela.
Angela. I almost call it Algela. Angela. And they have this weird, awkward conversation that kind of seemed like foreshadowing to me. But she's like, well, she says something about him wanting Jacqueline, and
I remember it, but I didn't really see it like that. I just felt like it was showing how intuitive she is to what's going on around her, which is in direct opposition of Marcus. Like, you know what I mean? And she was always very like, okay, well, what about this, guys? Or what about this guy? Like she's the creative of the movie. Like she's the artsy person, but she also was very much paying attention to the individuals around her.
I agree 100%. The thing that I found awkward about it, that's literally your first time meeting him. And that's the conversation you led with.
Yeah. But I mean, he was staring at her.
He was.
In that scene, he was looking at her like,
Yeah.
like he was 1 second away from biting his lip. He was trying to gobble that woman up.
He was.
Well, you know, to me, I felt like Halle Berry, when her conversation with him, to me indicated like, I know she would be your pick and not someone that looked like me. Because
I don't really get that.
because
but I could
he-
see that.
because he like you said, he was like about to bite his lip looking at Robin Gibbons. But to me, it was like she was on a
she didn't meet his requirement at
yeah.
the time.
Well, she was super artsy. Like super, like
Mm-hmm.
the baggy clothes look. And if y'all know anything about the 90s, like you had kind of 2 types of dress. You either had like real baggy, kind of chill, like can be ready for anything. And then you have the really tight, kind of spandexy look. Even if it was business attire, it was still kind of tight. And so on one hand, Jacqueline was super tight, put together, very prim and proper. And then you have Angela, who's very like baggy clothes, it's still very chic. Like I was like, I need some of those outfits now.
Okay.
But she's complete opposite of what Marcus probably has envisioned for his perfect woman.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I wrote down, that he was so focused on how Jacqueline looked and the persona that she had, that he was overlooking the better option that was standing right next to him.
Story of my life.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's certain tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's anchor.fm. period FM.
Yeah. So then Strange comes in with her, big flamboyant self.
Chariot of white men.
I know. I was going to say something about that. I was like, oh, she had a chariot of white men.
And was whipping them.
I was like, what's the symbolism in that? I'd be interested.
I don't even know.
But
but it was not black men like I would have expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
That did kind of stand out to me a little bit.
Yeah.
Blonde hair, blue eyed white men.
Oh, see, I didn't see all that. I saw, but I
just saw the skin.
I saw the skin, yeah. But that is interesting that they would use that.
Mm-hmm.
Because isn't Grace Jones of African descent?
I want to say so. Let me look that up right fast.
If we're going to go with the symbolism, going over the colonizer.
And oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Especially because there were other racist spots
in the movie.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so according to the Google machine, Grace Beverly Jones is Jamaican.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, if her roots are in Jamaica for a long period of time, or if maybe everybody migrated in some form or way. We know that, but it doesn't say anything else as far as that.
Okay. But I do think it was an interesting piece of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But then, so they introduce Strange, and they kind of break off into their small little groups from there. Robin Givens goes upstairs for some reason or another, and is followed by Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, he pawns Angela off to Gerard.
That's right.
He sets them up like, y'all look like y'all need to get together.
He did.
Yes, he did.
I totally forgot that.
I did too. That was their little meet and greet.
Mm-hmm. So then he gets upstairs with Robin Givens, and they're doing their cat and mouse thing that they do. And she is basically like, look, this ain't what you want.
She tried to warn him.
She had a lot of BDE. Y'all had to look that up because I can't repeat it on the podcast. But she had a lot of BDE.
That's Bravo Delta Echo. So she was basically like, look, boy, this ain't what you want. Like, you're not ready for this, because you're gonna get your feelings hurt if you keep coming.
She even said, when I seduce you, you'll know I'm seducing you.
You will know
okay,
it.
Come on, I like it.
And he's like, please, madam, I'm come get me. I'm ready.
I'm trying to show you.
Yeah, I feel like that was the official switch. Like, I think at first it was just like, okay, I see what you're saying, girl. I hear you. And then, like, at that moment, it was like power change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. So then they have a scene in the boardroom, and I was thinking, so they have the video with Strange, and that is a complete debacle. That's the one.
Is that one
with the?
That's later. That's when he's super depressed. It's something. What is?
No, it's the one where she had on the black and the chemist. She was trying to smell it.
Oh,
yes.
That's right. And she
had on her dominatrix.
She rubbed her underwear all over his face. That's right.
He was trying to. The black chemist was trying to say, this smells really good. And it probably did. He was like, it tested really well. The audience liked it. And she was like, I don't like it. I want it to smell like sex or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But then she took her thong off in the middle of the boardroom, put it on his face, and just rubbed it on either side of his nostrils. And he was like, freaking out and ran out of the boardroom, and Marcus followed behind and was able to bring him back. But Strange is extra.
But for that conversation, I don't know how he was able to bring him back.
Yeah,
because he didn't really say nothing.
Runtime. They said, look, keep it short.
Right.
We got a movie. Yeah, because I didn't understand how he brought him back with that conversation.
It's probably the relationship. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Yeah.
You know what I mean? How you can just come on now. Don't be like that. Come on back. That's
Like, I'll get it for you.
yeah.
So then they're like, no, this is not going to work. We're going to, go with a different idea. We're going to call the perfume Strange, because she had a whole list of highly inappropriate names.
Like afterbirth, metal vagina. Like
Yeah.
it was
It was ridiculous.
It was
like,
weird.
who was
No
getting
one-
ready to call this perfume that?
No one's going to buy that
But no.
at
No.
all.
no.
So then they, Marcus suggests that him and Jacqueline have a work dinner.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is like the date montage. It's like Marcus and Jacqueline and then Gerard and Angela.
Mm-hmm. And I did think this was probably one of the few statements I thought that Marcus made that made sense and was slightly, I don't want to say intelligent because that's not what I mean, but like aware. So he said that if we were both men, that no one would be thinking about us. Like it wouldn't be an issue to have a work dinner.
Mm-hmm.
It's only the reason that you're a woman that you're saying, even though his intentions, he did have ulterior motives.
Right.
However, I did think that he made a valid point there.
Yeah.
That we don't think really anything of same-sex work dinners. But just because you're in a same-sex work dinner don't mean that person ain't still trying to get at you. So, but even though I did think that was a valid point that he made.
Yeah. I agree.
So of course, manipulation again ensues on
Yes.
Marcus's part. Because this is where he takes a little while to open the door, doesn't he?
Yes, he let it ring like 3 times.
He started running, jogging to get to the door, and then he was like, "Wait a minute, whoa! I'm about
Hold
to
on.
lose my player card."
He was like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to be sprung real quick. Oh. I almost caught myself, Lord." So then he lets the door ring way too long because I'd have been gone. And as she's walking away, of course, he opens the door and gives the, I was asleep.
I was like, "Who fell
Or
for
no, I
that?"
laid down for a nap or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, "Who fell for that?" Because you fell asleep in all your clothes.
Yo, nice unwrinkled clothes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You in a suit.
Yes, with a whole jacket.
And then he allows her to kind of come into the house and have kind of free reign, which we have never seen that before in the date that we've seen previously. And so she's wandering around and all of a sudden he hears that neighbor, which is Yvonne, played by Tisha Campbell Martin. And she out there telling me, yes, girl, and we got to stick together and such and such and such. And like she is going in and Jacqueline is eating it up because she's like, oh, really? Oh, because she's already peeped game. She already knows what the deal is going to be.
Right.
Yeah, when she came over there, she knew what it was going to be.
It's
Well,
casual.
she knew what he thought it was gonna be.
That's better.
Yes. Oh, because she clearly ran that date.
Exactly.
With no romance. She was like, I'm really not focused.
She wasn't even paying attention.
Can we go to the living room? Because the game is on. The Bulls are playing. And he was like, well, okay then.
What I was telling Dr. Jones this morning, I said she went into cool girl vibe, which under normal circumstances, men love the cool girl.
Yep.
They love the woman that can play video games, that knows about sports, drinks, does that whole 9. However, that's not the one type of woman that Marcus wanted. He wanted the high power, super attractive, overly confident, basically the male. He thought he wanted the male version of him. Female version of himself.
That's exactly what he got.
But then she started being that way, and he was like, "Oh, hold on, like she into sports."
Because she done asked this man to bring her a beer back.
Like he,
Like
like
a
stereotypical, like homeboy or like you the woman. Because that's some stereotypical like misogynistic stuff. Like, yo, can you give me a beer? You going in the? And he was like, yeah.
And I was saying that he started pouting because he wasn't used to being treated like a woman.
He was getting his own treatment back.
Yeah.
Because he's always used to being the dominant one, and you will never get a chance to hurt me because I do, the hurting or the dumping or the whatever. So I don't have to deal with any of those emotions. But, she was giving it to him.
Yep.
Good. But on the flip side, that same night, Gerard and Angela were having their date. And it was just an awkward mess. They didn't even get to eat because Gerard refused to make a decision. So he's very indecisive. He would rather have the woman lead him. One of the things I kept thinking about, just because I knew the movie, was these two dates are so mismatched. So mismatched. Like, they are not with the person that they are supposed to be. Not that Gerard should be with Jacqueline, because she'd eat that poor man alive. But
he may like that.
He might, power play.
And she may like him.
Right? She wants a yes man, and he wants to be a yes man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could definitely see that Hallie was not getting her needs met in that one date, and you could see that Marcus wasn't getting his needs met. It was just like, it was like pulling teeth, and it makes you wonder, why would you want to continue that?
Yeah, because Halle Berry went out with him again. Like, they had multiple
Yeah.
dates. And so it was like you said, her needs weren't being met. And you could clearly see that he was going to be in friend zone.
Clearly. They tried to kiss and everything. He kissed the nose. They counted down, and he still kissed the nose.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Cringe.
I was like, Gerard, you're not going to get her. I'm sorry. You're going to lose. You're awkward, man.
I wish they would have had some additional scenes showing, and they may be in deleted scenes, but showing Gerard and Angela's interaction, because I don't know if he fully understood that he was in the friend zone, just based off some of the later scenes, that we'll get to.
I think he knew at the end, because I think that he had said that they had a conversation, at least by Thanksgiving. They both knew that they were just friends, but I think it still was blurred lines,
Yeah.
Mixed messages. Yeah.
So then the next scene is they are at the gym.
Yeah.
Oh, this was hilarious. Oh my God.
And Marcus is kind of going through his escapades with Jacqueline. And of course, Gerard is giving him they're giving Gerard a lot of grief about not sleeping with Angela. And he's talking about, he wants to get to know her, and he wants to take things slowly to, see if they're interested in one another.
I think this is one of like the first times where we see where if a woman is not quick to have sex with you, you're automatically labeled as gay.
Because that's what they said. If she don't want to have sex, she must be a lesbian, or she just didn't want to have sex with you.
Right, because it's my boundaries, and I'm okay with that.
It's called consent.
Yes.
Yeah. But Jacqueline also hadn't slept with him either.
No, none of that had happened.
And the thing that kind of got highlighted for me was the idea of like women as a conquest.
Yeah.
So now, you didn't sleep with me, so now I really got to go hard and
Because
really try.
he said it'll happen. It's just gonna take a little bit more time,
A few more weeks. And I think even Boney T, which is Chris Rock's character, had asked them, well, how long is it gonna take you? We got a bet going and all this other kind of stuff.
A week or 3 days? No, not you, Marcus.
Yeah. And there was something else, me as a sex therapist, that I can really appreciate is they talked, even though it was in a joking manner, they talked about men's genitalia and function. Because Gerard obviously had some type of, I don't know if it was arousal disorder or erectile dysfunction or something like that.
He had
but
low sperm count.
Low sperm count. But he had some stuff not right. And it wasn't talked about in a great way, but typically that's not something you're going to see black men talk about.
Because usually your homeboy's not going to know.
Nah.
No. Well, we're not men, so we know we can't speak for men, but in a general sense, that's a blow to manhood. Just the same way for women, some women feel like if they cannot have babies, that is a blow to their womanhood. For some men, having a low sperm count or having any type of erectile issue is going to be a threat to their manhood. And now that my friends know that, come on, talk about exposure.
Yeah. See, but again, that's emotionally intelligent because you are self-aware enough to be able to, know that you can't handle all of that news, that information on your own. I need someone to support me and help me get through this information that I just gained about myself whenever he got the diagnosis.
Yeah. And in that scene, we also learned that this is where we learned that Gerard had his heart broken horribly, been cheated on. Like it was one of those serious situations, and he was about to break down and cry while they was talking about it. So you could tell that he really was not over it. They was rolling.
I'm gonna F him up. I'm gonna F him up.
Oh, Tyler was always in trouble, but that's the character that Martin played back in that era.
Yeah.
So then I think, so they're getting ready to go to New Orleans after that. So they're on Marcus, Angela, and Jacqueline. But you didn't see.
Yeah, but Jacqueline wasn't either she wasn't on the same plane or she wasn't in that area.
She probably flew early knowing her.
So you see Marcus and Angela on the plane talking with one another about, him finding her attractive, finding Jacqueline attractive,
yes.
And kind of him pursuing her and all these other, kinds of things.
And to me, this is when Halle Berry was, again, in my opinion, prying and fishing and prying and saying to herself that she's not to his standards. Because to me, I thought it was clear in my eyesight that she was attracted to him from the beginning.
Yeah, it was like a low-key pick-me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to disagree, but that's
okay.
So?
Yeah, that's okay.
I didn't get it. I didn't get that at all. Just because I felt like, yeah, she was attracted to him. So I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like she could tell that her boss, which is Jacqueline, was attracted to her peer, which is Marcus, and so she kept trying to put them together. Like, because even in that scene, she was like, "Well, this is the place for romance and jazz and this and this and that. So you should take her to this place." Like she was always trying to get him to get his act together instead of being so Marcus.
But that's to me, that's what women do when I really want you to take me.
That's what I was thinking.
I'll be different, y'all, so I don't have no
but I think both
for it.
I think both points are valid.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the point that I think that she was maybe low key saying pick me is because I know the trajectory of the movie already.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
if
true.
I was seeing it for the first time, I don't know if I would have thought that way.
That is true too.
So, there may be some kind of bias there because I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, it could very well be true that the intent was in reality that she was just like, hey, well, if you really want to get in there, this is how you can get in there.
Because I think I would have had a different perspective if everybody that was in contact with Angela wasn't saying how nice of a person she was, how kind-hearted she was, how much she went outside of, herself to help people, her volunteer efforts. So that's kind of my backstory that I'm looking at.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I think we're agreeing, but we're looking at it from two different eyes, two different perspectives.
Absolutely.
Just because of, like you said, probably because we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So then they get to New Orleans, and I think the very next scene is them at some sort of club of some sort. Jacqueline and Marcus are, dancing all over each other.
Well, Marcus is dancing all over her.
Yes.
To the Zydeco.
Yes. He is dancing all over her. And then he starts to become
frisky.
Yeah.
Vulgar.
And I think this is where Jacqueline was like, oh, no. I need to exert my power and control back, because she immediately stops and says, let's go. I think we need to leave.
And also she had already said on that balcony at the ball that she doesn't mix business and pleasure, and she doesn't like to do stuff public.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the public part, but I remember the other part. Okay.
So then they go back to the hotel room, and then who knows if Marcus's key really did or didn't work in his door, but I
don't even want to believe him.
I feel like it was, because he was looking really dejected. Like he wasn't looking like his Playboy dejected. He was looking like, man, I messed this up again. No, I'm good. Y'all know how when that bruised ego come up. No, I said I got it. Don't come up. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then she's like, got him.
Yep. And she's smiling, y'all.
Yeah.
So then here comes the Black Widow, and she gets him. But it was on her terms.
Exactly. Y'all, she told
Inserted power.
this is the lower level version, but she tore that man up. She rode him into oblivion.
Okay.
I was like, oh,
what I wrote down, I said, boy, she turned him out.
all the way.
Quick. In that one time.
Yes.
It gets worse, but
Yeah, it does get worse. So, of course, they sleep together.
And why is he always waking up in the middle of the night? I need you to take some sleep aids so you can sleep through the
I
night.
got to work on his nighttime routine.
Google sleep hygiene.
Yes.
So then he does the same thing in this scene that he did with Christy, is he pulls the sheets back to look at her toes to see if they are perfect. And she has acceptable feet. So
They
now,
were beautiful.
So now he feel like jackpot. I mean, it's like if it was a cartoon, it would have been all kind of fireworks and bling, 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 bling is going around.
Googly eyes.
Okay. Heart, boom, 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 boom. I mean, it would have been definitely going because he thought he was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I found the one. I'm good.
But he didn't pay attention to no other signs. Like something that I talk about with my clients are, you need to be paying attention to red, orange, and yellow flags. And he paid attention to none. He's just like, oh, her feet go together.
Yes.
It's mine. We go together now.
Okay.
Yeah. He did not pay attention to her desire, what her want was. She
wanted casual.
Yes, she did not want anything committed or a relationship. And the fact that she did this casual thing with someone at her job when she already said, I don't do this with people at my job.
Yeah. She said, and this comes up in the next scene, but she was talking about like, I want to be able to take it slow.
She said, you're not getting serious on me, are you?
Y'all, he folded his arms up so quick. No, what? Yes, the answer was yes, Marcus.
Yes, you are serious.
Yeah,
you in love, bro.
Because he called her baby, but she did call him honey.
Mm-hmm.
I believe a whole bunch of terms of endearment were said in that round of goodness.
Yes. But when I felt so bad for him when he went back to his office and he was waiting on that phone call.
Girl.
And then they said, can we pencil you in?
For 3 weeks
3 weeks later.
And not can we put you on the schedule.
No.
Can we pencil you in?
That
which
can
means
be erased.
I couldn't get it out fast enough.
Because you're not an MNF factor. Like, that's really what it was.
Wow.
Like, you're non-important. You know what I mean? Before that scene, because I made us jump ahead. I'm sorry, y'all. The boys get together and shop.
Oh yeah.
And
it's
I think that's
racial.
Yeah. And they're talking about the experience, like it's finally happened. And Marcus is talking about how I think I'm in love. Like, I think she the one. I think she what's his last name? Graham or Grant or something.
Graham.
I think she gonna get my last name and all this other kind of stuff. Meanwhile, they're in an expensive store and they are being racially profiled by the person. And he's like, we don't carry any cash.
And we don't have layaway.
We don't have a layaway. And then Marcus, being who he is, he was just all calm and cool. He was like, y'all, let's go. And so he gets out like, listen to me, y'all. And then he screams at the guy, see, scared for no reason. They just think black people gonna hurt him. It just don't make no sense. And then they walk off. And then we go into the next scene with Jacqueline and Angela in the office talking about Marcus.
Oh, yeah. And that's when Angela learns that she slept with Marcus.
Mm-hmm. But in the store, when he was talking about robbing givens to his boys, Gerard was like, oh, what? She got nice feet?
Yep.
That must be a thing for him. It had to have been.
Yeah, because his boys wouldn't have brought it up if it wasn't common.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So then, you're correct though, Dr. Walls. So Angela and Jacqueline are talking about Marcus, and she basically tells Angela like, well, whatever you've heard about him is true.
I can confirm it.
Girl.
And so he walks in as they're talking about him, and he got the big head now because he think he done laid it down.
Not knowing, boy, you got laid down.
His as my mama would say, his nostrils was wide open.
You're smelling yourself.
He was so possessive and like kissing all over her, and I'm like, y'all are, even if y'all were a married couple, y'all are at work. Y'all are right below the board of directors as far as like importance in the company. Y'all need to calm down. Like this is a lot happening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you could tell that she was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, she was doing. Y'all remember Pepe Le Pew? And
Yes.
I mean, she was like, "Get off me!"
Yeah.
So you could tell she was uncomfortable and like, look, and like you were saying, we are at work. You know, I need you to stop. And then that's when the rest of the scene plays out, where she's like, basically, I'll call you. And then he's waiting by the phone.
She set them boundaries, but she was playing the game, man.
She was playing chess while he was playing checkers.
Exactly.
Like,
wow.
You out of your league, bro.
And she's showing you.
Yeah, I think then from there, they jump forward 2 to 3 weeks later, where they were supposed to go on their next date and all of that.
Next,
but that
did they have a first?
Well,
I know the little basketball scene one, but that
the thing that he suggested,
Yeah.
the co-workers eating dinner, that didn't work out, and then the dinner and which turned into sex, and then now they supposed to be going. I think it was to
Some sort of-
theaters.
some sort of concert
show.
or theater
Them
show.
$200 tickets. Because she didn't show up at all. I don't know where this woman was, but she didn't call. She didn't show up.
She said she was at a meeting that ran over. That's what she said.
Just imagine, this is before the days of cell phones. So, like, you have no way to contact this person.
But did y'all realize that he called all of the excuses that he had made to other women? Like he was like, I thought you was in a car accident. It could have been a pile up. And those were the excuses that he had given other women.
And the thing is, she had time to call him, because even though we didn't have cell phones like that, except for those big, huge ones that nobody was carrying around,
Right.
he's in New York. So he is the latest time zone in the United States. She was not in the Eastern time zone. She was somewhere like Arizona or something like that. I can't remember the exact place. So I was just like, oh, she good. She real good.
So she was like, so he, of course, is like flipping out on her, like, you're being inconsiderate. And, she's playing the game. She playing chess and he playing checkers. So she was already ready. She knew he was going to be upset. So let me go ahead and calm him down in the way that I know how, or I know the way that he wants me to calm him down.
Yes. Yes.
So then comes a classic scene where she, has on her trench coat.
Y'all, is that when the trench coat and underwear and red pumps came from?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, for black people, I think so, because I can't think of another
movie where
black
that's-
cinema movie where it's like that.
Me neither.
I mean, it's a lovely trick.
Gesture. Yes.
It's like, look, because nowadays, who out here wearing a trench coat?
No, well, people that's killing folks. But and then even after she did that, before he had fully forgiven her, she was like, well, I'll go.
Playing that game.
And he was like, no.
Because he did that to Christy in the beginning. No, I can't.
And this is the first time I think his sort of emotional intelligence growth was trying to come in, because he was like, I'm tripping. I'm hyper emotional right now. So let me just calm down. But she forced that out of him, not, trying to, but because of, okay, I'll go. Then he had to backtrack to get her to stay.
Because I don't really want you to go.
Exactly.
And I want you to take that trench coat off, and I don't remember what color her clothes was it green or whatever, but Robin was in there.
I know. I was like, oh, she got a
I
6-pack.
was like, I got to get my life
I
together.
know. I said, dang.
All the way.
So, Lord. And she was probably in her late 20s, if not 30s then.
She was probably our age.
I'm like, Jesus, and she was
oh,
looking like that.
But you got to remember, she also,
Is a celebrity and
Is a
can afford to
celebrity.
eat good.
but she also was, her body is her craft. And she was at one point married to Mike Tyson. So they was going to be a fit couple.
True.
Yeah, because that might have been when she was married to him during
I
that
think so.
time.
Okay, so she turns him out again.
Y'all.
Toes curled this time.
Toes curl. Don't touch me. Sucking on his
You said
thumb.
exactly what I was getting ready to say.
Go on and say it. Go on and say it.
He could not even let this woman kiss him.
No. No. Don't.
He didn't even want her to talk.
You know what you did. You know what you did. I was like, oh, okay. And she's smiling the whole time. Like she
knew.
She had that man moving. Like, I'm trying to be as clean as possible. Yeah. She was on top, but she had that man moving. It was hilarious.
It was.
I was like, okay. Okay. Ride off into the sunset. Go on, get you.
Because he had did the thumbs up with both of his toes.
Yes. And then sucked his thumb. He's talking about, I need to go call my mama.
This is just too much going
That was
on.
hilarious. See, that's why we said that this movie is comical. It's very comical.
It is. And then, man, backdoor that with, he immediately felt cheap afterwards. Because she had left that money on the table for them tickets.
But this was the first night that he had went to sleep and didn't wake up.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night. And she woke up, and when he, I guess, felt her presence over him, she had put her trench coat or her negligee and her trench coat back
Not
on.
negligee.
Yes,
When
had
was
to
the
take
last
it
time
back.
you heard that word?
The 90s.
Yes, in the 90s.
Had to bring it back. And then she was like, yeah, I gotta go. I have a meeting early in the morning. He's like, so you're not gonna stay? And then he pulls the blanket up around his man breasts and it's looking all sad.
And he looked at that nightstand and saw that money.
That $200
Them
that he
eyes got
complained
big.
about.
I felt so bad for him. I said, oh, he feels so cheap now.
Oh
Yes.
Lord, that was the beginning of the end right there.
Mm-hmm. Because he knew in that moment that she was him.
Yes. Yes, that is
And that there's nothing that I can do to get that these roles will not be reversed. Even though they ended up being at the very, very end, but still in that moment, he was like, yeah, that's it.
See, and that's the thing. When Dr. Strickland and I were speaking earlier, we were talking about how he thought he wanted someone with power. But when he got that, he couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Agreed. That ego was bruised. And I was thinking about, I don't know if he would be diagnosable as a narcissist. I don't know if he was quite to that level. However, it did put me in the mind of how narcissists act once their ego has been bruised. How they become depressed and sullen, and they're already unbearable to begin with, but they're even more so unbearable once their ego has been bruised.
Yes.
He was a definite F boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like through and through.
Yeah.
All he needed was some skinny jeans and some Jordans.
And a fanny pack across his body. Oh Lord.
Not the fanny pack.
They be
Yes.
rocking that now. It don't even matter how old they are. I'll be like, who dressed y'all? Why are y'all reverting? Like,
But why they making the clothes like that, though?
why they buying them?
That's the better question.
Because there's a whole bunch of garbage out there, but you ain't got to buy.
So then after this, is it the dinner party scene with John Witherspoon and...
No. Wait, is it? No, it's the dinner party with Strange.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I said, this is the
Oh,
beginning
yeah.
of the end.
Yes. Okay, so he's at... so it's Jacqueline, Marcus, and Strange all at dinner, and they're talking about the launch and where they're going to go to film the ad and things like that. And you can tell Strange is not feeling what they are bringing. And she's kind of in her feelings for, as we will learn in a minute, a different reason. So Marcus kind of hints at Jacqueline like, hey, like give me and Strange a second. And then Strange just lets it loose. Now, I wish we could be explicit on here because I would go into all the details of what she said and did. But for our interns that are going to go watch the film, you will know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So she basically was like, boy, come get this. And you know you want it.
Can't nobody turn it down.
Yeah, she was. she looks at this man and said, so when am I going to F? What? And that's what Marcus' face was looking like. What are you talking about? Well, Lady Eloise got some. Jacqueline got some. He's like, where did you hear that from? Jacqueline. She told me. And so.
No, she said, Jacqueline told me you really know how to move your
behind.
Tight behind. And so then she proceeds to hike her leg up and says, you can't turn down this P word. Because like we said, we're editing this out. And is screaming at the top of her lungs in this 5-star restaurant, and everybody's like,
yes.
And he said, she said, what, are you gay? He said, yes, I'm gay.
I think though that goes back to what you said a little bit earlier, that if I don't want to have sex with you, then you must be gay.
Yeah.
Because I can't just not want to sleep with you.
Yeah.
Because that would be too much like, right? So then she throws her little hissy fit and runs out of the restaurant, gets in the limo. I'm assuming that's what that was. Jacqueline comes back and has to smooth the situation over. And then Marcus is still in his feelings.
As he should be.
You know, he's like, why you out here, got
our business
the
out in
loose
the
lips
streets.
and you're telling all of our business out here in these streets. So she's like, basically Jacqueline's like, I mean,
what's the big deal?
Yeah, like, I don't understand. Like, what are you upset about?
Like, get over it.
I
My
said-
stomach hurt.
I said good things about you. You should
Right.
be happy.
Right.
So then, he's in the fields and basically tells her like, I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable. This is frustrating and I don't know if I can do this. And then Jacqueline's like, okay,
Well, we're done.
simple as that. Cold blooded.
Walks off.
And get her own taxi.
And didn't turn back
At all.
because, usually in the movies, they do the turn back to like, you gonna come after me?
Right.
Nah, she didn't care one way or the other. She probably had a whole harem of men.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She was like, you like number 7.
Lady Eloise in the making.
That's yeah.
Uh-huh.
She a little puma right now. She ain't
Yeah.
quite gotten a but so she was like, okay, so we done. All right, I'm whatever. And Marcus is feeling some kind of way now. He's just standing on the street.
About to cry.
Mm-hmm. And then he finally, kind of leaves off from there. And what's the next scene after that?
We go back to the office.
The office, the next walkthrough of the building.
Oh, this is so inappropriate.
And he is
Yes.
crushed. You can tell he got a whole funk depression all over him.
Mm-hmm.
Boney T is talking to him from the top of the stairwell, mind you.
So
You
everybody
let that
in
woman mess you up like that? You Marcus.
how everybody in the office know?
Everybody.
Jacqueline.
Yes, but that's so inappropriate.
I don't know what her last name was, but Jacqueline Loose Lips.
Yes.
Yeah, all the women were talking, and what makes it even worse is that as he's walking the floor where everybody has their cubicles, all the women are gathered in a circle with Jacqueline in the center talking about Marcus and,
And
like
giggling.
shh, 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 and start telling Jacqueline to be quiet, and she turns around like, "Good morning, Marcus."
Boy, she was cold-blooded. And when I say they was laughing,
Yes.
it was like
Yes.
that silence, and then it's like soon as you're out of field view, immediate eruption in laughter. And even the lady coming down the stairs, first of all, you wasn't even part of that little gaggle of women that was there. How you already laughing and you just coming down the stairs?
Because she already knew.
I was like, boy, he couldn't.
Like I'm trying to like, did you send well, it wasn't email then.
It would have been an email, yeah. They have computers.
Yeah, I forgot. It's AOL, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Instant message.
Yeah. Did you send an email out that this was?
It was
going
in the
on?
monthly newsletter.
Apparently, because I'm like, they sure found out quick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his little spirit was definitely crushed because when he went to that meeting that morning with what is his name? The guy that that was extra nasty.
Oh yeah, Nelson.
He was like, Nelson, you can have it. And Halle Berry's character, Angela's like, what? She's looking at him like, don't give it to Nelson. But he gave the entire Strange account over to Nelson, which you already know this is about to end in disaster.
Because this almost got him fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
even though the ad that he created, it fits Strange perfectly.
It did. But that tell you how off his game was. And that's something that Angela tried to go talk to Jacqueline about later that day. Was like, hey, is everything okay with you and Marcus? Because it's affecting his job.
She said, whatever you're doing to him.
Stop it.
And then she was like, what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like you're a little bit too much invested in what's going on. But in that instant, I do have to give it to Angela because I was like, I'm not trying to lose this account. You messing with my money.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
feel
like
her
that
on
about that too. Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But needless to say, it did mess with them.
It did.
He got suspended.
Maybe you should take some time off. And then he was like, okay. And the way he walked out of there,
Pouting,
couldn't
no
open
arms
the
folded.
door.
I know, I said he had them arms folded. He was walking right stiff.
Y'all, that video was atrocious. Like it was so bad. It was like, what was the slogan? Stink so good. Oh, it was bad. I was like, okay, she giving birth to a bottle of perfume in the jungle with a twig skirt on. It was a lot going on. Y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it fit her so well.
It did.
Which
but
is
it was
odd.
inappropriate.
Yes.
So then after that is...
It's kind of like his lost depression
Mm-hmm.
weeks and stuff like that.
And then
is
Angela
this when
came and got him and took him to the kids.
to the kids?
Yeah, the babies.
Yeah.
Kenny and Kanya.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Sassy.
Because I don't want them in the bowl. Like she was so extra, y'all.
Yeah. So I think that was kind of a little bit of a pick-me-up for him. You know, support from a friend. And his initial introduction into seeing Angela.
Yeah. And also not to be so focused on himself and to kind of restructure like what's most important. And, you know, working with inner city youth is going to definitely have your mind in a different place than, okay, this is what's happening to me. No, it's other stuff that's more important. And people need what you have to offer without it costing them something.
Did we skip the dinner scene with the parents?
No, that's next.
Oh, okay.
After the scene with her taking him to meet the kids. So now's the dinner scene with
Thanksgiving.
with Gerard's parents.
Wait a minute. I think that came before because after the kids, she said, I have a idea for the Strange ad. And that's when they went back to the office.
It's more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Either way, we got two different scenes to talk about.
So then the dinner scene with Gerard's parents, and they are a piece of work. I love this portions of this scene with John Witherspoon, who I cannot remember the father's name.
Mr. Jackson.
Oh, so that's all they called him was Mr. Jackson and Mrs. Jackson. So his parents,
Coordinate.
Yeah, it's almost even hard to get it out because it's so much going on. But you can tell that Marcus plays into like the father's kind of quirkiness. Yeah, his kind of personality, and he's really kind of joshing Gerard a little bit about how eccentric his father is, because he has on a mushroom shirt, a mushroom lined belt, and the inside of his blazer
Got mushroom.
is mushroom.
Because what reason?
You got to coordinate.
Coordinate.
So then,
Don't forget his mama now. She brought that whole trough of chitlins.
Chitlins.
she did
Got to pull the membrane off them and then they don't stink. That's what she said in the movie.
in the movie. So there, of course, I'm like, why are y'all? First of all, you decked out in like full on like church clothes, and you about to cook some chitlins?
I feel like they was already cooked. I hope. Because
I think they were warming them up.
That would have been, that'd have been a long situation.
Yeah.
It was bad. So then they're actually eating, and Mr. Jackson is basically asking Gerard, like, okay, so what's going on with you and Miss Angela over here?
Yeah.
Putting him on the spot and making the situation really awkward. Because he like, y'all friends.
What's that? You need to be bang, 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 bang.
And then the mama's like, okay, calm down. Don't do that.
Leave them alone. They told you they're just friends.
Yeah. And I think Mr. Jackson was like, that's why I told you not to let that boy go to private school.
Oh, and his mama was like, she looked like one of Marcus' girls.
Oh, yeah. That
Now,
was
that's
awkward.
some foreshadowing right there.
It was. Because everybody was like, and this was the scene where I started to wonder, had Gerard and Angela really had a conversation about, were they just friends? Because he seemed to feel some kind of way at the dinner.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wish they would have showed some more scenes with them to see how their non-relationship developed, and if they would have had any conversations on like, look, I like you as a person, but I'm not interested in you romantically, because he still seemed, even though he wasn't pushing it because he had more of a passive personality, but it did seem like he was still
interested.
Yeah, he was still vying for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as the dinner scene, Mr. Jackson and Mrs. Jackson decided to slink off to the bathroom for a little while.
And bang, bang, bang.
And Gerard was so embarrassed.
He was overly embarrassed that his parents were having relations in the bathroom for like an hour. And then, of course, they come out with they, clothes all jacked up.
Not buttoned correctly. Marcus did have to give him a bro hug because he was like, I'm so sorry, like that you had to live through this, because it was bad.
And I thought that was another highlight on possibly why Gerard was the way that he was.
Yeah.
That his parents were so kind of
extreme.
Yeah. In a variety of ways that he wanted to be as invisible as he could be.
Yeah. Because they are loud.
Yeah.
I will say, as a sex therapist, that I did enjoy the fact that they had that little segment of them having sex as older people, because age sex is not something that is displayed very often.
Right.
And you can still have sex after birthing years. Like, it's not like all of a sudden you stop being a sexual person. So I was actually really happy about that.
Oh, I
Which
agree.
was good, but inappropriate being at somebody else's house.
I concur with
timing.
that. I concur with that. Now, y'all, when we talked about the types of love a few sessions back, this is an example of that playful love to the extreme, but still.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a whole nother, when we talked about the session about boundaries.
Yes.
They were just being violated all over the place.
Yeah.
At this, the whole movie really, but in this particular scene, they were just being violated all over the place.
You got to go Clorox that bathroom.
Yeah, and then just the conversation on prodding your son about his relationship with this woman in front of his friends, in front of this woman. You're putting everybody on the spot, and now it's awkward, and you seem frustrated because I'm not giving you a straight answer. And again, I think that highlighted his soft, passive demeanor, because again, my parents are so boisterous and so eccentric that I want to fade to the background as much as possible.
Well, and it seemed like he had already had that conversation with his parents that they were just friends. Because he said, Dad, I told you we were just friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And it also kind of played to what people consider a man to be. And again, they still didn't think that Gerard was showing up the way he should as a man.
Yeah.
Yep. So then everybody leaves the dinner party.
Which I thought was so inappropriate. You see all them dishes in that kitchen? Don't nobody leave nobody's house like that.
Angela did it. She cooked.
But still, usually people, especially I'm going to just say Miss Jackson, because that's just traditional. But did nobody go in the kitchen and be like, hey, y'all need me to help y'all?
Not after she put that trough chillings on.
Girl, I was like, what in the world is that?
It's like somebody didn't teach her you're supposed to clean as you go.
Yes.
My mama would have beat me.
Because it was just too much. And I'm like, it was only 6 of them.
And it didn't seem like it was that much food.
No, y'all had the chillings, which was in the white thing. I saw maybe some green beans, turkey dressing, but it was so like every dish in that house was dirty.
Yes.
And not just like dirty, like
it was
all over the kitchen.
Like you need to soak.
Yeah, like everything looked like it was stuck on.
Yes.
And it was dark by the time they stopped cleaning.
Yes.
So Angela stays, of course, as the only one. Plot twist.
And the only woman.
And to help Marcus clean. And they fall asleep on the couch watching Star Trek because they surprisingly they're both into Star Trek.
How about that?
Now, side note, I like that part because it reminded me of my pawpaw. Because for y'all that don't know, that's how I got my name from Star Trek. Lieutenant Lahore, the black lady on that show, her real name is Nichelle Nichols, and that's how I got my name. So I was like, oh look,
Aww.
It's like look at Pawpaw in this movie. He really wasn't really, but it was a nice nod.
Yeah, that's cute. So then Marcus wakes up first,
as usual. That man needs a sleep aid.
I know, and I'm like, but he didn't look. If he looked at her feet, they didn't show it in this scene. But then he does.
No. They went to sleep with him rubbing her feet. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Because she was rubbing her feet at first.
He said something about your feet stink. She said, my feet don't stink.
That's right. So then he does this like, brush your hair out your face thing, kiss her on the forehead. And then, of course, they start to kiss on the couch. And funny enough, this is the one sex scene they didn't show.
No.
That is true.
But y'all know what? It's them damn forehead kisses.
They get you every time.
Every time.
Like, oh.
Don't you kiss me on my forehead.
But he did.
Y'all know I like a good makeout scene. So I was like, yes. Marcus and Angela.
Yeah, and they showed intimacy.
Yes.
That was something different that they showed in this scene versus the previous ones where it was sex.
Yes.
Yeah, they was talking to each other. They was kissing, like it was playful. Like it was a lot. Even though, of course, if you're not analyzing it the way we're analyzing it, you will see that, okay, this is a different form of intimacy than what he's previously done.
And that's why I thought it was interesting that they didn't actually show the sex scene between them, which even for the audience, like they have intimacy. They have something that you're not privy to.
Yep.
That's interesting.
That's a good insight.
So then who knows how much time has passed, because in a movie, it's kind of hard to tell. So they, it seems like Angela and Marcus are together.
Yes,
they're
because
together.
I think it looked like she moved in or start staying over there.
Not that one yet. They're walking, because this is when the new ad idea comes to her.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, "Oh my God, we need to go." And this is when we see Melvin Van Peebles. He's doing the video editing with Strange.
I remember, because they're talking about, is that a shadow?
Nope, because I'm drooling.
Yes. So then they do the new Strange ad. And
this is when Jacqueline realizes, oh, y'all got something going on?
It's coming up, and it gets accepted. Because this is a very short scene. It's like they talk about Strange body part, and then they cut to what is it called? Showing the ad or whatever, and then it immediately goes to Tyler, Marcus, and Gerard playing pool.
Yep.
Back to back.
And Tyler is being Tyler in all of his hotepery. Talking about, why does the cue ball
the white
dominate
all the other balls, and then lastly it hits the black ball into the hole because the green represents the earth,
and the earth is flat.
like they used to think. I was like, if you don't go get them drinks and shut up.
Yes. So there was lots going on. So then this is also where Marcus tries to, in the most inappropriate time and place, tries to slide in, what's going on with Angela and you? And Gerard is basically like, we're friends, but he tries to play it off like he turned Angela down versus
cool.
Her possibly turning him down, and says, I don't care if she dates other people. And then while Gerard is the more emotionally intelligent, through observing Marcus's body language, because he didn't actually say anything.
Nope.
No.
He just observed Marcus's body language and figured out, oh, this is why you asking about Angela. And then he learns that him and her have slept together and that Marcus is interested in pursuing her.
Yeah. And he was so crushed. He was like, why her out of all people? And I don't know if in that particular moment when he said that, he was meaning because he wanted her, but more so because of how nice and kind she was, because he made a reference to the type of woman she is and like, don't do her wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took it as the latter, that he was thinking about how nice of a woman she is. So, but it could have been.
No, that's how I was taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Gerard, of course, is upset and storms out of the pool hall. And, it seems as if their friendship is definitely kind of...
There's a whole rift now.
Yeah, there's a rift between the group.
Even though we haven't really talked about this topic on the podcast yet, I thought it was still interesting, the fact that even though Gerard is the more emotionally intelligent one, him and Marcus both dogged her out. You know what I mean? Like, even if it was just him lying on his penis, you know what I mean? Like, he still dogged her out and like, nah, I'm the one that did that. Instead of just being honest, like, nah, we don't really match real well together. And so it just kind of goes to show there's still some toxicity in there, even though he is emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
But this also gave me an indication that Marcus isn't loyal to anyone,
But
because he betrayed his friend and all these other women.
Yeah, because it was a better way to handle it. It would have still hurt, but you could have been proactive with communicating that instead of like
in a private setting versus trying to use the disguise of friend, going out and hanging out.
Yeah.
And then, I hope this is a safe environment. You're not going to cause a scene, that, if we're involved in some other activity, maybe I can slide it in there and we'll just keep going.
Yeah. But they must be used to it, because as soon as Tyler came back, he was like, what did you do?
Yep.
And so I think they know that that's kind of how he rolls.
Yeah.
And then this is another indication that Angela didn't pay attention to the red flags either in Marcus.
Yep.
Because if you can't be loyal to your friend, how can I trust you to be loyal to me? And this is a friend that you've known since childhood.
Yeah, they were little. So I think the next scene is, or one of the next scene is when they're at his loft and she paints the
blue people.
The blue people, which I'm assuming was supposed to be like a representation of him and her.
I can see that.
I don't know.
I can see that too.
Just based off later in the bus scene, that's what kind of made me think that. So he gets, as she's trying to show him her artwork, he gets a phone call from Jacqueline about something related to the Stranger account, and she invites him to whatever this event is, and of course he goes.
It's the the second meeting for the new ad.
Okay.
To actually show the board of directors so that they know he's not crazy.
Right. So then he, of course, tells her that he needs to go for this thing, and Angela says, okay, I understand, but you can tell.
Hold on, but before that, Jacqueline was, I guess she, from what he said, she was like, does you and Angela live together now? Or, she's answering your phone. He was like, no, she just stopped by for a moment.
Like he lied, because she all of her paint supplies is in there.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying it's kind of hard to see how much time has passed.
Yeah. It can't be too much because they still working on that Strong J and ad, and they have to have stuff together, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did do that, which Angela peeped it.
Yep.
I was like,
She's observant.
okay. I don't know what you meant by that. So then he gets off the call and he's in a chipper mood. So when he initially got out of the shower, he was in a loving, a kind of all over you mood.
Mm-hmm.
But the second he got off of the phone with Jacqueline, it wasn't that he was in a bad mood or anything, but you could definitely tell he was in a different good mood.
The chase was on again.
Mm-hmm.
And something else, I don't know if y'all saw this. Angela was trying to get him to be emotionally available and open by asking him what he saw in that picture that she was painting, and he couldn't get it out. He just kept saying blue people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then they go have the meeting, and it goes well. So of course all of the board of directors, they love the new ad. Everything's great. So then him and Jacqueline are kind of shutting things down and closing out. And she is basically like, I like this version of you. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah.
Because it was the old him.
Mm-hmm.
Without the
confidence.
Butthole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he was more reflective of that powerful man that she was attracted to in the beginning, which he was attracted to her. So now he's like, oh, okay, yeah, she's attracted to me again. And then stays out fairly late and comes creeping back into the bed at who knows whatever time. I wish they would have done a cut to what time in the morning it was, but they didn't.
Yeah, with Angela in the bed, not sleep.
The worst fake sleep I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But so he creeps back into the bed, and then as he kind of settles in, she opens her eyes, which, lets us know that she's been waiting up for him this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Then the morning or sometime later, I guess the morning or mid-morning or whatever, comes, and she's asking him, well, how did it go? And he gives some kind of half, it was okay. And she's like, well, why just okay?
To me in that scene, I felt like he was acting guilty. And so I couldn't tell if like the guilt was coming from the fact that he was trying to decipher whether or not he still had feelings for Jacqueline, or if he actually slept with her.
I didn't see that at all. I saw him trying to find that exit strategy and not let her down.
That's what I kind of saw. I actually kind of saw a combination of both of those things, actually. That I wasn't quite sure if he slept with her, because of course they didn't show it. But
he did say it though.
He said what?
That they reconnected last night.
Yeah, but did that mean emotionally or sexually?
Well, they never was connected emotionally.
He was trying to be,
but I think it was sexually.
So that's why I'm saying, like, was that guilt, that expression on his face, was it guilt?
It could have been, but I think he was also trying to have an exit strategy as well.
I do agree with that too.
Because he started backpedaling and saying, well, I really need to figure it out, and and I was like, what else you need to figure out?
Right.
This woman already got you within 24 hours acting out of the character that you had built with this woman. So obviously something else is going on.
Yeah.
So then Halle Berry, rightfully so, Angela, gets upset and tells him, like, you don't love me. He's like, I love you. And she's like, no, you don't.
You don't know what love is.
And of course, another famous line, that love would have brought you home last night.
with a expletive in there.
Insert, yes. But and then she leaves and tells him she'll come get some of her stuff later. And then
you missing something. She smacked that man.
Oh, she did. She did smack.
Smacked
Oh,
him.
now who's violent?
Yeah.
It's usually me. I must have zoned out for a second because I didn't hear you skip that.
Yeah. She did. Because he said something. What did he say to her?
I can't remember, but it wasn't right.
Yeah, he said something to her that made her turn back around and slap him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, I can't. I wish I could remember what he actually said to her. But then she storms out, and then of course, now he's.
I do want to say that the classic line that she said was, "I had heart, and my heart got broken dealing with people like you." Because he said something to the effect of, "Don't close her heart," or something like that. I can't remember the specific, but she was coming for his neck.
Mm-hmm. I would say as far as acting, this was probably one of Halle Berry's best scenes.
Yeah, it was believable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I can give her kudos because she didn't toy around with the decision of whether or not she needed to leave. She left.
She's like, "I'm gonna observe you. I'm not gonna jump to no conclusions, and then I'm gonna make my choice."
Exactly.
And of course, after that heavy scene, they kind of fade to the nosy neighbor again, and she's trying to comfort him about the breakup. She left you, didn't she? And then she was like, "Well, you come on over." And he's like, "No, I'm not. If you was the last
I still don't want you."
Yeah. And
She was like, "Well, leap your black over the ledge then."
Jump. Because he was looking off over the side of the building like he just was gonna risk it all.
That's hilarious. Okay.
So then he and Jacqueline are back in the saddle, and things are not going according to plan
At all.
He's getting his kissed all over and all these kinds of things, and he is just not there.
He is laying.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like
Not participating at all.
And Jacqueline's kind of like what's going on, and he does the classic, "I think I'm in love."
And she's like, "What?"
A man miss a good thing when it's gone.
Mm-hmm. So then he realizes as he's in a bed with another woman that he's in love with Angela.
And Jacqueline's like, "Well, why are you here?" And he's like, "Good point. Why am I here?" And walks out on her.
Mm-hmm. And I couldn't quite place what her facial expression was. I wasn't sure if it was shock or if it was...
I felt like she just couldn't believe he was leaving her for Angela.
I was going to say, I think it's disbelief.
Yeah, I couldn't quite place what that facial expression was, but he did. And we cut to Angela has gotten herself a new job. No. Tyler invites him over for dinner.
For that nasty on the floor chicken.
And in that nasty apartment or loft, whatever.
I know. I was like, why is that grease bubbling so hard?
I was like, that looked like boiling
I
water.
thought it was boiling water too. I was like, is he frying chicken or is he boiling the chicken? Because that joint is going
everywhere. And all they was going to eat was chicken. Wasn't nothing else done.
No.
And he had all them dishes. But men, sometimes when men cook, they just use up everything. Like, you just making mac and cheese. Why is there like 9 dishes in the sink? I don't understand.
I agree. Someone I dated used to cook for me all the time, and I'd be like, "You didn't make nothing but spaghetti. It's 2 pots.
Why is it so many
Why you got
dishes?
6 of them in the sink?
Girl.
Oh Lord. Okay, let me not.
Yeah, because I can go all day on that one. So Gerard shows up, and Marcus answers the door. And then, of course, Gerard is upset. He feels hoodwinked, bamboozled that he got, tricked into coming over to Tyler's house to hang out, and Marcus was going to be there. So he goes up onto the rooftop. I'm assuming, get some air and kind of separate himself from the situation. And Tyler's like,
go talk to him.
Go handle that.
And then so Marcus goes outside and they do the bro thing. They kind of, man, I'm sorry. It's all right.
They talk about Angela first and then kind of like segue into like these apologies.
Halfway apologies.
But it don't take much for guys.
And we were talking about, Dr. Jones and I were talking about that earlier this morning when we were kind of discussing the movie. Like, they showed, it was kind of like they did two things. They showed emotional connection, but they also showed the bro.
Yeah. The hardness.
How we're not gonna get too deep off in there. So I'm sorry. All right.
Yeah.
We good.
And the weird thing is the emotionally intelligent person in this one is Tyler.
I know.
And he was like, no, we gonna bring it in. Group hug and y'all gonna talk this. Like it was, I don't know where that came from because he hadn't been that person the whole movie.
Right. But then when we were talking earlier, we were talking about how it was the expectation for Gerard to forgive Marcus.
Yeah.
For the disloyalty. Just to save the group.
Can you hurry up and heal now so that we can be friends again? Like, this is taking too long. So then, of course, the guys get, back right. And they're friends again.
As the house burns down.
Yes. So then comes the
scene where the kids, Kanya and Kenny, are walking through this brand spanking new office. We later find out that it's Angela's new position because now she's a VP or director of marketing or creative something. And they find her. They extra with it.
Yes.
Tell them, Angela. Now they screaming in the middle of the the workplace. And so they walk in and kind of see her. And they're like, oh.
And then they say, well, she's wondering, how in the world did y'all get here? And they say, oh, our new teacher brought us. And she's like, of course, as movies go, who's your new teacher? And on cue, in walks Marcus, darling. And she's upset. The kids walk out because they can't be in grown folks' business. And so then the kids walk out and, she proceeds to explain to Marcus, like, how you've hurt me. What you did was wrong and I don't appreciate it. And, basically, what are you doing here?
Something I like that she said after he said, I quit my job, whatever the name of the company was. And she said, did I ask you to quit your job?
Yeah.
Don't put that on me.
Yeah. She was speaking some gems. Like she was saying, you can't love me the way I deserve to be loved.
Yes, I like that one too.
So, and I think that's a real thing. Like she's demanding a certain level. And if you're going to love her, you're going to have to come up to that standard or you got to leave her alone. And not to downplay what he was saying, but it was almost like too little too late because he was saying, I'm ready now. I've made the changes. I know what I want. And, it's not to say that people can't come back from incidents like that, but it takes a lot to have that forgiveness and to be to want to work through that. And I can appreciate that Angela always seemed to be vulnerable because she was saying even in that moment, she's like, I'm scared that you're going to hurt me again.
Absolutely. But of course we end on she forgives him and they seemingly get back together.
Got tongued down in the office, but then they walked off and she was like, I wish you would look at that woman walking down the street.
But he still looked at her.
He didn't.
Yes, he did.
He looked at the other woman with the
he turned around because he was trying to make a point. That could be you in 20 whatever years.
No, but he was talking about the lady
woman
with the kids. Not the
cute. Oh, I didn't even see a woman with kids.
Yeah, he was talking about the woman with the kids.
She was behind that woman.
Oh, okay. I didn't even see her.
And he was saying, well, that could be you in 20 years or whatnot. So then we end the movie there.
Yep.
So all in all, it was a movie about a man's growth from being a man child.
Emotionally unintelligent.
Mm-hmm.
An F-boy.
Yes. And to a semi-fully grown. Because he still has some work to do.
Yeah.
You know, growing into a man that was much more emotionally intelligent and attuned to his partner. So, yeah. All right. So that's it for Movie Mental Breakdown, Boomerang Edition.
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at The Recycled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.